Welcome back to New Amsterdam Radio, the podcast for creatives. It is I, the mayor, in the mayor's office, hanging with people who are doing the thing in their craft. Little boys here. And my guest today, Mr. R.A Feller, is an author with the series Calington Castle. 5 versions already out, 6 and 7 possibly on the way. So I'd love to have you on the show to talk about it. R.A, thank you so much for being on today.
Well, thanks for having me, Flobo. It's good to see you, and nice meeting you. We talked a little bit, and I'm glad to know you.
Yeah, same here. We were just talking about this before we went live. You're currently in New Jersey. I'm a Brooklyn kid. I feel the winter coming through that screen. So let's get into it. Calington Castle. It's definitely something unique in that way. It's a whole tale, a whole universe told through the medieval lens. Walk me through this. At what point did you say this story is in my head, in my heart, and I need to get it on the page?
Well, Calington Castle is a book series that opened my mind while writing it. It is set in stages to grow with the characters, and I have learned many lessons along the way. And let me give you an example of that. It is a place where you can become more aware of how to interact with others. And this is something I learned myself while I was writing the series.
Yeah. Well, when you were writing that first one, and you decided this is going to be like my moment to put these characters to page, was it like an instant? Did you see the chapters 1 through 5, or books 1 through 5, or 1 through 7, or was it kind of the thing where things evolved over time?
It was a definite journey. I kind of got a vision on how to write it, and the whole thing was a gift. Actually, I've done many things before in terms of poetry and that kind of thing, and this kind of writing was different for me because in my poetry I would search for answers, but in Calington Castle I seem to have found them and made my life a little bit more stable. And if it could do it for me, it could do it for anybody,
Yeah. Well, describe that to me as someone who has written poetry in the past, who has written prose as well. What were if you can share those, the answers that you were seeking in the poetry that Calington Castle and that series helped you to discover?
Well, let me give you an example of a poem called Cry I wrote. It's been internationally published. And in fact, this came about as entering a poetry contest back in my college days, and I received a letter of certification. I call it my poetic license, where it says, "From among thousands, you have been chosen top 50 poet, within the top 50 in the United States." And well, here, let me share the poem. It'll give you an idea of what it is to search. And here, let me share it. Cry. A tear dripped from the bottom of my eye. I watched it as it rolled down my cheek. It seemed to travel endlessly as I watched it fall from the bottom of my chin. Another tear got on line to leave, and I asked it why. It had no answer. It was only there. It was only a tear. And that's my poem, and it gives you an idea of what it is to search. I was looking for an answer. And I even looked at my tears, and they couldn't give me an answer.
Yeah, I can imagine when you are searching for answers, there's that just show me a sign kind of thing, and sometimes the signs you're looking for aren't there. That's what happens. But it said that it took you over 3 decades to compile the idea, the stories of the first five books of Calington Castle, and that is a long time. to craft and to take experiences and roll it into a book series that's been critically acclaimed. Has there been times, nights, moments, days where you go, what's the use? I could probably do something else. I could probably let this down. I could probably just give it up. And what made you keep on going?
I got life from it. It taught me how to find purpose, to keep life fresh and not grow stale. And I learned how to face challenges in life and grow from them, which brought stability to my own. And along those lines, it also I also wrote the series while making observations to understand life better, to stop being reckless. And in this light, I wrote the books as well. And with all these things going on, it was like a read and grow, a write and grow type of motif. And it has a lot of life experience in there that anybody who's struggling and looking for a way to grow
Yeah.
will help them along their journeys as well.
Up here in Hollywood, even though I kind of live outside of Hollywood in a small exurb called Culver City, there's always that game of this movie is A meets B. Now, I've read somewhere that the Calington Castle series is Game of Thrones meets Lord of the Rings, but I know as an author, as a creative, there's a lot more nuance to that. So, in your words, what would you say is the premise of this series to the uninitiated?
Um, Well, the series is set in a timeless, mystical medieval period, like Game of Thrones, that anyone who relates to kindness and love from ages 11 through adult can enjoy. And I believe that art influences culture, and I write to influence culture to a positive light rather than to inject someone's mind with violence and hate and murder and mayhem, all these kinds of things. They just, uh, it's like there's a kind of poetic justice, I believe, that would come back and haunt somebody, possibly even violently, because, we all, whatever's out there in terms of writing or that kind of thing, through media or most entertainment seemed to put me in a box that I had to get out of, to really find life. And in my writing, it helps get one out of the box so they can think for themselves and be original and not just go ahead with the status quo flow.
You have seen, and I have seen the commercial for Calington Castle, but we're actually going to show it right here on New Amsterdam Radio. Check this out.
What brings us here, Sacha?
We take Calington for ourselves!
Known only to me are these doors. Come now. Coins sent forth to bring even more. Taketh this invitation and deliver it unto the Calington King.
All right, gotta ask, what have people been telling you in their review and their summation of the book? What they've been saying about Calington Castle?
Well, I've been told I'm a good story writer, and I have been thanked for my work along the way, and that also encourages me to keep writing. I know I'm heading in the right direction, and the books are page turners. You always want to know what happens throughout the stories and what you're going to learn next. And I make every effort to hold the attention of my audience until the end of each book. And each book holds on its own in terms of, although they're interlocked as well, but each book holds on its own in terms of presenting a great storyline, highly entertaining. And, the book's been crafted out over 35 years, like we were talking about earlier. And it's got me motivated to keep writing.
I got to ask a little bit of a side question here. As an author myself, there's always the struggle when you're writing. You have your A stories, your B stories, your serious drama, some of your comic relief. How do you juggle that all? Are you a person that puts index cards on the wall? Do you just put yourself locked in and write per chapter?
I actually, as I said earlier, it's a gift.
Seems that we lost R.A Feller once more. I was asking him about his writing process. Every author is kind of different when it comes to that.
Well, what I said before, it's a gift. I basically just look into a light and it dictate.
Mm-hmm.
It's a phenomenon. I mean, when I was, like I said, when I was writing poetry, it was more searching. But it was a light. As a gift. I just took notes. It's a phenomenon that you can experience yourself while reading the series.
I was reading a past interview that you had, and you said that you like to let people draw their own conclusions representing the facts. Now, what does that actually sound like and look like within the pages of the Calington Castle series?
In my writing style, I let people draw their own conclusions after presenting the facts. And in this way, it's a real read and grow book. You actually grow the characters and identifying with them. That's the best way I can explain that.
Absolutely. Do you have a favorite character, or are they all equal to you?
Well, there's the whole book itself is a star. All the characters complement each other, and in the writing, one character just appeared, and I saw how everything related, and kind of interlocking the books, and over a period of years, it took quite some time to tie everything together. Because when I first wrote the first book, it was basically, I hadn't written for several years. Let me start off with that.
Mm-hmm.
I just got turned off to writing at one point. And it wasn't until I was telling my children bedtime stories that I said, hey, and then I got the idea for a book after doing that. And that was called Living Your Life According to Connecting the Dots by Number.
Right.
And that was a precursor book to Calington. And after writing that, a couple of more books followed. It was a foundation to really know where, that it was like a springboard to keep going and writing after I had the foundation. And one day I got the idea for a story of Calington Castle, and I said, this is too good to pass up. I got to write it. It's a part of the vision I received. It was like, wow, this story is like, as it came to my mind, I have to write it down. It was like very compelling. And I just had to get it out. And let me also say that I wanted also to address the issue of addiction within the stories.
Mm-hmm.
I'm clean and sober for over 40 43 years now. And I learned how to be high on life through the series, and it's very provoking in terms of not letting life grow stale. Because when life goes stale, you're going to want to pick up something to escape the staleness and the boredom and the tediousness of life. But when you're enjoying life to the point of where there's no need for secondary things to escape reality because you enjoy it so much, where are you going to go?
Right. With the success of the Calington Castle series, I bet there is, and you did mention there is more books on the way, but I'm sure you have so many other stories that you want to get out there. Like, how do you juggle like the urge to write on a sequel to a established series versus writing new content?
Well, it is a write and grow book, so I have to pace myself in terms of as I grow, I write, and there's a lot of growth in this book, and within all the books in the series. So in the 6th book I'm working on right now, I'm actually co-authoring that with somebody I met along the way, and as he grows and I grow, we together in a relationship. It becomes a part of the story. It's that awesome. I can truly say that working in this series has placed a crown of life upon my head. And I truly believe that anyone else who enters these pages of this book, Calington Castle, will find the same thing.
All right, there, R.A Feller. I am excited about that series. I've seen some of the commercials and trailers. I know there's going to be more stories from that universe down the pipe. But as we roll on to next year and the year after, if I'm a fan of the series, I mean, how can I connect with you, learn more about the characters and stories, see more visual content from the Calington Castle series?
Well, I do have a website you can visit, and that would be Calington with one L, calingtoncastle.com, and from there you can launch out and buy the book from there. And there's so many areas in the book where you can learn in so many different ways and grow. And I also have some more samples of my writing. If you search around the website, it's a fun place to visit as well. And you personally, you're welcome to contact me if you so desire.
Absolutely. Well, I know you're a busy man, so I'll let you go. But there's one question we ask all our guests on New Amsterdam Radio. If you indulge me, what does R.A Feller do on a day off? Do you believe in day offs? How do you recharge?
I would say I recharge through, it's like through writing.
Mhm.
I mean, I do rest up, and I have a tendency to overdo it. Sometimes I'll just lose track of time. I mean, I've been living in a Calington Castle world for over 35 years now, and I take a peek outside to find out what's going on in the world from time to time, and then I go back into Calington Castle to get recharged.
Wow, that's great. That's awesome. That you are living your statement. It is a crown of life, which is really cool to hear. Yes, so we'll definitely keep the links in the description below for those listening right now. They can get themselves into the world of Calington Castle themselves. Make sure you catch up because you heard it here. Books 6 and 7 are coming down the pipes. You want to be yourself current. This is Sam Radio, the podcast for creatives. Thanks so much for being on the show there, Mr. Feller.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure. Pleasure talking with you too, Flobo.
Thanks.